Area Manager to write to the Minister, request support and funding for Gaelscoil in the Dublin 10 area. There's a big gap there in Ballyfermot for a school. I've been made aware of a possible preschool opening in the near future. There's a group of ladies that are looking to set it up. The problem being is when them children come to go into school, there's no school that will take them. The Irish schools in Inchicore no longer service Ballyfermot because their waiting list is so big anyway, that they've decided they won't. They used to take Lower Ballyfermot. They just don't have the room anymore. People from Ballyfermot are at best put on a waiting list. The chances of getting to them are slim. Same with Lucan and Palmerstown. It's the same thing. They've got overcrowded. We have issues with the school, obviously, with potentially the De La Salle school losing numbers over next years over decisions made by other schools in the area. That, you know, it could be a way of keeping that building open and keeping the school running by using the facilities we have there.
Thanks, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Doolan.
Yeah, very briefly, it's a joint motion for both the councils because we feel very strongly about this issue. I think we all understand that schools are essential to community, the heart of any community, and also there's a growing demand for Gaelscoil in the area. Many of the children have to leave the area to go to school, which is unfortunate. We had that whole debacle around the proposed closure of schools by the Archdiocese. That's been averted in the immediate future anyway, but it may create space for us to be able to put a Gaelscoil in the area, and I think it would be very positive if we could bring cross-party support to pressure to bear on the Department of Education to get a response, to get the debate going, and hopefully in not so distant future we'll have a Gaelscoil that meets the needs and indeed the rights of children and their parents to be taught through their native language in the Ballyfermot area.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor De Russia.
Chair. Manager, I agree with all the sentiments outlined. I think it's disgraceful that Ballyfermot doesn't have a facility for kids of the area to be taken up through full Irish immersion education, and for an area the size of Ballyfermot, it really is. It's disgraceful, and I would welcome that letter that you write to him. I'd also request maybe that Dublin City Council actually write the letter in Irish.
Thanks, Councillor Breed-Smith.
Yeah, I support this motion. I've been working with a group of parents in the area to try and acquire a NINRA, which is basically a playgroup, Gaelscoil, and De La Salle have turned us down. St Louise's have just lately turned us down, as have Caritas. And the reason they're all given is the funding, that they would need to put in extra toilets and more facilities, and they just don't have the money. But that's not a lack of a desire for it, or a will for it, or a want for it. All of the principals and teachers and educational institutes, and indeed the parents, I mean, a lot of Gaelgoers here in this room who send their kids to Irish school outside of the area. So the demand is there for it. It simply is there for it. There's Irish classes go on all over Ballyfermot, parents struggling to help their kids with Irish, and there's no facilities to respond to us. We've been at all the schools, we've been asked, and the question is the usual one of money. I don't think it's a whole heap of money. I think you're probably talking 100, maybe 150,000 in certain places to upgrade in order to allow extra facilities in for the NINRA. The benefit of the NINRA is that if the kids can get to play school, Gaelscoil, it's easier for them to get into Irish language full time. And if we started with that, maybe we could expand it. But I think the whole project of Irish language education facilities for the people of Ballyfermot is sadly lacking, and that this would be a start getting that letter across, as well as getting everybody to support the parents who are campaigning in the local area.
Thank you. Councillor Dolly.
Fully support the motion. As someone who sent her children to a Gaelscoil living in Ballyfermot, it is very difficult to manage to transport up and down. But another thing is that it's difficult for children then to have friends that are in school, and then their friends are completely different when they come home. If we could have, and I know you know that yourself, your own child attends a Gaelscoil, but I mean, that's one of the things. It's not just about, like, I mean, the Gaelscoil is fantastic because language immersion is what it's all about. If you can get them in early in a Gaelscoil, bring them on through the primary system, and then hopefully we'll get our Gaelscoil, we'll get our Gaelscoil, and then we'll be fighting before we know it for a Manscoil in the Ballyfermot area. But I fully support the motion.
I'm involved in one of the schools, the Councillor Smith, and 4 schools in Ballyfermot, the Board of Management of. And one of them we have decided to see if our early start programme, if we can designate one section of Gaelscoil. So we are continuing to pursue that. It is a resources issue. Unfortunately, the department is not willing, like even some of the various other support services they've asked schools to take in the area over the last few years. They want you to take them, but they're not prepared to back them up with the resources that are needed. And if you take anything and you haven't got the package, you'll be left swinging in the long grass in the longer term. But I mean, I totally support it. It was one of the things I brought to the De La Salle order when they were closure of the school, and I wrote to the provincial of the order in relation to one of the 3 schools on the campus there could quite easily have been a very valuable role in saving the school there. So I totally support the motion here today, as do all the other members. So maybe, Manager, we could write to the department just expressing the view that the councillors unanimously agreed that the department should look, particularly with the overcapacity in some of the existing schools, that there's an ideal opportunity here to provide, another form of education in the area. But quite evidently, there's a huge need for it. Is that agreed?